Authentication options available for your wireless access point are open and shared. In the open mode, everyone has unrestricted access to your network. Someone driving by can access your network without any difficulties at all. The shared access, only people who have your shared key have access to your network. The strength of the protection is in the type of security you select, i.e. WEP, WPA, SSID, etc. The next series of slides will cover the wired encryption available on wireless networks. The first encryption is WEP, or Wired Equivalency Privacy. It's used to encrypt data transmitted on the wireless network. It uses a static shared key for authentication and encryption. And WEP uses and repeats the keys and therefore can be exploited quite easily. It's not recommended. The second encryption is WPA, or Wi-Fi Protected Access. It uses a paraphrase or shared secret key to authenticate access. The keys are automatically changed during your connection by the wireless access point and your wireless connection. It provides a much stronger level of protection. There also is emerging WPA2 and other WPA type encryption, which is not going to be covered in this particular tutorial. But any one of these is a good protection for your encryption. As WPA is our recommended encryption, wireless access points or routers that support WPA will be required. A wireless network adapter on your laptop that supports WPA will also be required. Windows XP Service Pack 2 includes a WPA client. Earlier versions of Windows may have WPA products available for download at a website. You can use Google and search for WPA. MAC filtering is another absolute type of intrusion protection that will work. It is fairly complicated to set up from a user understanding viewpoint, although it is very simple to do. You just use the MAC address to prevent access to a wireless network. A MAC address is a unique hexadecimal string that identifies your wireless adapter uniquely within the world. Every network adapter has a unique MAC address. You can add in the wireless access point a filter that will allow just certain MAC addresses or prevent certain MAC addresses from ever accessing your access point. To determine the MAC address of a device, if you're running Windows XP or Windows 2000, you can run ipconfig/all at the command prompt, and that will show you the MAC address. And on Windows 98, you can run win ipconfig, which will show you the MAC address, which you can write down and then use to enter into the wireless access point when you configure it to allow or deny it. If your wireless access point does not work where you need it to work, i.e. the distance is 300 feet or your walls are thick enough or you have interference items, you can implement a range extender into your network. If you look at this diagram, you'll see that it's the same as the basic wireless network we showed earlier in this video, with the addition of a wireless range extender. This wireless range extender works in conjunction with your wireless access point to extend your network another 100 feet. You need to put the wireless range extender within the first 100 feet of the router or wherever you get good signal, and then you can go in another 100-foot radius from that particular extender. This works well, but then you need to set up two wireless access points to work. If you have trouble with your wireless access point, the following items should be checked for completeness and accuracy. Check your SSID. Make sure your SSID is what you think it is. Verify your WP or WPA access keys and the keys you're using and make sure they're entered right on the laptop and on the wireless access point. Verify your channel settings are correct. Verify the correct MAC addresses if you're using MAC address filtering. If in doubt, turn it off for testing and try to access the wireless access point. And not to be overlooked is downloading the latest firmware and or drivers for your network card. Many problems can be linked to incompatible, not current firmware and or drivers. If either one is not current, they may conflict with each other and not work as expected. The following are some recommendations that I've found that work fairly well, at least will help you keep out of trouble. Stick to common equipment manufacturers if possible. If you have a Linksys router and you're going to buy a Linksys access card, that's a good thing to do versus buying many different manufacturers. Manufacturers of the same equipment tend to follow the same protocols. The ones that I've run across that are good are Linksys, Buffalo Technology, Netgear. This is not to say there are not many good brands. There are. These are three that I've found to be quite reliable, reasonably priced, and work quite well. Try not to mix and match products. Document the work you've done for easy reference. When you set up your router, there is a tutorial on the website of how to set up a Linksys. Write down carefully the information you've selected so that when you're trying to hook up to the wireless access point that you have accurate and detailed information to do so. The next most important thing is don't assume anything. Guesses do not serve you well, and if you've documented as I suggested before, you'll have the information in front of you to use. Use at least WPA encryption to ensure that someone isn't snooping on your network driving down the street. Change your default SSID so that at least if someone does get in, it will give them a rougher time to know what to do. Change your administrator password. If you forget to change your SSID and the router's name is Linksys, anyone can get into the configuration of your router, infiltrate your network, etc. Change your password, write it down for yourself so you can get to it later. Next, don't listen to everyone's opinions. I have noticed sitting in the club that there is lots of opinions and everybody tends to philosophize about their problems. Seek advice from a knowledgeable person. And probably the worst place in the world is the local office supply salespeople. Salespeople tend to decide what they want to sell. Very few are really knowledgeable on how to set this up. Again, seek help, but make sure someone has the experience to factually help you. And our final recommendations are, if you're troubleshooting and things seem not to be going right, try powering down all the equipment and repower them. Many cable DSL modems will lock on to a MAC address when you've powered them up, and if you've switched cables or your MAC address have changed, they will refuse to connect. So power down all your equipment and power it on in the following order. Turn your cable DSL modem on first. Wait 60 seconds or until you're sure that it's connected with the home office and is validated. You can wait 60 seconds or wait for the lights to come on if you understand what the lights are telling you. Next, power on the wireless access point and wait for it to come up and be working. I would recommend 30 seconds. Again, if you've read the manual, understand the lights, you can watch for the lights to indicate that it's working properly. Then power on your computers, your laptops, and start working at connecting again. This concludes our video. Thank you for listening, and contact the club if you need further assistance.